Okay, so I am here today for Sport Business Institute and for Latin Business Today with a dear friend, a terrific guy, and a really talented guy by the name of Jamie Skiles. And Jamie is the president, founder, and jack of all trades with Phoenix Design Works. And if you haven't heard of or don't know what Phoenix Design Works, stay tuned because this is probably, at least in my opinion, one of the premier branding, logo design, marketing companies in the world, and he and his company, which we'll learn about shortly, have done tremendous work over the years. So welcome, Jamie.
Thank you, buddy. So good to see you, and thank you for the kind words.
So Jamie, why don't you just tell us, why don't we start I always like to start at the beginning. Tell us about yourself, where you're from, kind of how you got started in this business, and bring us down that road a little bit.
Sure. Born and raised Dallas, Texas. Got to a certain age, understood. I think this is still true in large part, but maybe not as much with the internet and the growth of the market. But in those days, if you were going to be the best in the world, you had to move to New York. And, I think that holds true in a lot of fields. So I came up here, I'm one of those lucky people that I get to do what I always wanted to do. So my earliest memories are of drawing. I didn't really understand what that would be in 2020. I still get to do what my life's instinct has always been to do. Over the years, the elevator pitch, we've worked for franchise, league, and events for all major league sports. We've done 50 of the Fortune 500 consumer brands. We've also done about 500 or so collegiate properties. We do branding and advertising. So when I first got into this business, it was advertising. And then these little subdivisions like branding, packaging, these things kind of broke out to more specialist entities. And I love, it's a good thing I love doing sports branding because that's 90% of what I did.
Yeah.
Schools all across the country.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. By the way, I love the fact that the dog just wandered in and laid down, and it's great to have a business partner like that, right?
That's right. We love it.
I've heard all this before. But tell me, is there a big difference when you work for, the college athletics side of the house as opposed to the academic side of the house? Is it a mentality, or is it? Because obviously, having worked in college athletics and sports, I think we kind of get the whole need for what the branding and what you kind of do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think and this is also too. Everybody comes to this field from a different previous life or previous experience. And kind of what I alluded to before. I came up in advertising. So kind of the height of that was working for Ogilvy and Mather, Young and Rubicam. And in the course of that, you'll work for clients like Jaguar. Fireball is a very famous brand that we did. And I should give a shout out to my buddy Ross Sutherland, who, believe it or not, Dave, he's somebody I've known even longer than I've known you. And you learn certain lessons about, branding. And basically in that world, if you don't generate revenue, if you don't improve the bottom line, you don't work.
Yeah.
So I learned, what's the primary purpose of branding? Generate revenue.
Yep.
And so, but as applied to collegiate athletics, you could say, well, that manifests in different ways. If you go from a 2-year to a Div 3 to a Div 2 to a Div 1, those are all, they're distinctly different set of goals. And, some people charge tickets for games, some people don't.
Yeah.
Some people have a larger donor booster program in-house and others don't. It changes geographically. That's why I'm always kind of fascinated when I look at the licensing side and when I look at the rights side,
Right.
People try to find a solution that's going to work for everybody.
Yeah.
Now, that's tough because all collegiate programs, from my life experience, are uniquely different.
Right.
So I think you've got to be able to change on that. And as you pointed out, we kind of get the athletics concerns and they are, as I stated, plus a handful of others. With a brand, consumer brand, you might be able to perceive a larger block of consumer audience, be able to lump more commonalities in there. I think with collegiate brands, they tend to have 3, 4, 5 unique constituent bases.
Right.
The local community, where we draw from for our students, new students, our boosters.
Yep.
But then on the other side of campus, the work that we've done on the university side is really towards getting new students, getting enrollment, and
so you really need to go in. What you do kind of is an analysis, right? You need to get into their heads. What is it you want from
absolutely,
this, right?
Absolutely. Well, and that also goes towards there are people who might focus more on themselves in this process. But I've learned that that's really, you got to put your own ego aside. It doesn't matter what I want. And it really doesn't even matter what they want. It's our first collegiate property that we worked on was with a guy that I'm sure you know, Dave Roach. And when we were talking, when we were doing our interview to get the work, there was a kid that we were in a conference room overlooking the basketball court. And probably, I think, a Friday night. Meetings were running long, but there was one kid down on that court shooting baskets, student athlete, his Friday night, and so, and it just occurred to me. I said, it's not about what I want. It's not about what you want. It's about that kid down there. Yeah. That student athlete. That's who we're working for. Yeah. I think that there's a lot of truth in that. On the other side of campus too, you might have 5 colleges of study under a university heading. When you're working on that branding, it has to extend to and service all aspects, of the university. I think with Drake that I mentioned earlier, we did their athletics, we did their university, we did the relays, but each of those properties was having a big anniversary logo, a big anniversary at the same time, 100th anniversary, 125th, and so on. So there were really 9 different things that we had to address there. And I think with the university, between the university and athletics, there were 900 different pieces of communication in the final style guide.
I'm glad you mentioned Fireball whiskey because, whenever I'm in a bar, which, for me is not very often. So
Right. Well, it's certainly not recently.
No.
I'm just reaching over my desk here because
that's fine.
There you go. My portfolio, everybody.
There you go. So there it is. Well, at least it's full. So
yes.
Obviously if I see it, and I try to say this early on when I'm there, my buddy designed that logo because otherwise if I'm sitting there for a while, they might think, all right, cut them off, but no. But I think that's a really cool thing. And it shows, I think it shows your, how expansive you are in your talent. So, well, with that being said, if I had to say, Jamie, you can only hang one piece of art that you've done, or one logo, or one thing in your office. Which one would it be? Which is when you go, I like that? Because I'm sure there's stuff that you've done that you're like, you did it more for the client, it's what they wanted, and you're like, okay, I would have did it differently, but this is what you want, right?
Yeah, there's, and that you kind of speak to. So a lot of life, branding is the same as a lot of it's about balance. And, so we try to balance our clients' needs. So I think branding is, it's like life. It's about balance. And so while we try to balance our clients' needs, we also work as advisors. We'll say, well, I hear you. I know you think, you want to go this direction. Here's my concerns going this route.
Right.
Or, oh yeah, this is a great idea, but somebody else did it a year ago. Or, we just try to steer them and help that, be a team player. So being a team player is an important part of what we do. Now, the reason I say all that as a preamble to answering your question is right now, I would put the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl up on the wall.
Yeah.
And I don't say that because, well, actually, I do think it is a pretty great design. Well, let me rephrase that. I say that because of the greatness of the people I worked with.
Nice.
They, David Epps, Gary Stoken, Matt, those guys were just amazing people.
Nice.
And I was humbled by what a great team they are and how gracious they are. It was also, now in working for the bowl game world, we've had the good fortune to work for Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. We've done a lot of work for the the Valero Alamo Bowl, Doug Mosley and the Boca Raton Bowl, and Johnny Williams in the Camellia Bowl. In all of those cases, those guys are all heavily involved in their communities. They make a difference in their communities. All of the bowls have at least one, but they have charitable causes. Right. And they set new records for helping charities and giving back to the community. I think that is fantastic.
Yeah.
So I would pick the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl right here, right now. I love you guys. I love everybody. And that really is, back to the balance thing. Yeah. I spend 18 hours a day in Adobe products, working in Illustrator, Photoshop, that sort of thing too. So, because we kind of have to be new school. Yeah. But my portfolio really could be my client references. Mm-hmm. So I think it's very important that at the end of the day, your clients are willing to say, yes, they were good guys. Yes, they were there when we needed them. Yes, they went above and beyond. The work that, we continue to generate revenue off the work they did for us. All of those positive things. When you let's just say you take an average athletics director that you're going to be working with on a new branding project, it's not his job, her job to say whether what you did is good or not. It's their job but they should be able to read what the other people in their field have had to say about the work experience of working with you.
Right. Yeah. I think this is very Lou Lamoriello once said, and we had him speak, and he basically said, it's better for other people to say nice things about you than for you to talk about yourself, right? So let others praise you, right? And so I think, and the point is, and I would encourage people, and we'll get back to this, where to reach you and everything a little bit, but PhoenixDesignWorks.com is your website.
Yes, sir.
And on your site, it walks through all the stuff that we're talking about, and we'll include this link in the article as well. But I think it's really cool because, and you have your references, obviously by clients, so from ESPN through the MAC, etc. And I just looked up, the Chick-fil-A, because that was the one you mentioned, and I think it's important. This kind of a quote from David Epps, basically saying, the best thing about you guys is you listen, you understand their needs, and you deliver. And he said the best evidence that for him is that they kept going back time and time again to work with you guys. So, I mean, that's quite an honor, and really, and this is where, and I get it. I mean, I know what kind of work you do and the work you've done. So it's been seriously, I'm not, this is as a friend, but also as a colleague and somebody who's been in the industry for many, many years. Congratulations on what you've built, really.
Oh, thank you so much. But I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. And at the end of the day, too, the main thing is that this is for me. Hopefully. We get to change the world and make it a better place. Now, that may seem, to an outsider, that may seem a silly comment to say, oh, how could something like branding make the world a better place? Well, if that branding, and again, just to come back to, I hate to, it was drilled into me as a young man, as a little boy starting out in advertising. But if we generate revenue, you can afford a new weight room. Mm-hmm. If we can generate revenue, you can have money towards scholarships. Mm-hmm. If I can see that we're generating revenue, and CLC every year puts out their top 75 programs. We always have our clients are half of the top 10. And half our clients are the everything after the top 10. So that is proof to me that what we do works.
Right.
And so if we can generate that, if that can then find its way into a scholarship for a kid, I like to think that somewhere out there is a kid or kids I've never met and never will meet, but are having their lives changed through collegiate sports, having their lives changed through a college education that is life-changing for them. And so, that's how I kind of hope that we do something good in this world.
Now throw you a curveball. I didn't prep you for this, and I think this is, and this is not, we're not going down any political roads here, but I'm just curious about your thoughts. We just saw the Washington Redskins, are going to have to, they're going to have to rebrand. I guess have to is kind of a misnomer, but they are going to.
Yeah.